took my shirt off. And she looked, she said, "What happened to you?" I said, "Mom, they cut me." My mom started crying, said, when I was in Golden Hall.
To this day, Yakeula isn't sure why doctors operated on him. At the time, Yakeula says they told him they had to remove a birthmark. But with there being a legacy of medical experiments on Indigenous children, Yakeula still questions what happened.
I always protected them.
Yakeula is revealing this hidden part of his residential school experience after hearing Pope Francis make an initial apology.
Why did it take so long? For 4 words, I am very sorry.
Yes, maybe it has taken this time. But in time, we continue to walk this path of reconciliation.
Calgary Bishop William McGrattan says Pope Francis needed to establish a personal connection with survivors.
It's very important for the Holy Father to listen and then to express with a genuineness that this experience truly moved him. And as a result of that, he expressed that apology, I believe, from the sincerity of his heart after listening to many of the stories this week.
I wish my mom was alive. To hear the Pope.
The pontiff's words come too late for Yakeula's mom and many other survivors.
That's all we wanted to hear. To accept the responsibility.
But Yakeula says meeting the Pope allowed him to face his own experience in a way he couldn't before.
Today we're like a cocoon. Or we're breaking the shell of the residential school. And that transformation to become who we were meant to be before the residential school.
Yakeula says it's a painful process, but one he says is necessary for healing. Olivia Stepanovich, CBC News, Rome.
A national residential school crisis line has been set up to provide support for former students and those affected. People can access emotional and crisis referral services by calling the 24-hour national crisis line 1-866-925-4419. Hungarians head to the polls this weekend. It's being seen as the most closely contested election since the rise to power of Viktor Orban's right-wing Fidesz party 12 years ago. Since then, civil liberties and freedom of the press have been gradually eroded alongside accusations of widespread corruption. As Megan Williams reports from Budapest, a coalition of opposition parties is hoping to shake things up.
In a long room above a popular cafe in central Budapest, some 60 or so volunteers sit at wooden tables piled high with copies of an independent newspaper, folding them for delivery. Among them is 69-year-old clinical psychologist Judith Bekish, who on Saturdays also helps deliver the 4-page weekly to towns and villages throughout Hungary, where many still don't use the internet.
I have been in Hatvan, that is a small town.
Bekish joined this media activist group, Non Testéis, in English, Print It Yourself, out of alarm at what observers say is now a virtual government media monopoly controlled by Hungary's hardline nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orban and friends.
I was fed up with being passive of the actual political situation, and going on protest marches wasn't enough for me, so I wanted to do something more effective. Every week we go there to the village and we speak to the people, so the actual being there, I think is a big effect.
The mismanagement of the economy, including but not limited to corruption,
are other issues that have energized a broad swath of citizens into action, says Boldizsár Nagy, a Hungarian expert at the Central European University.
Loyalty is preferred over competence. So there are people who are leading ministries, national agencies, who are totally incompetent. Plus they are cowards and opportunists.
Nagy says, though, what's most at stake in this election is whether Hungary will remain an EU-oriented state or become a kind of vessel of Russia. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, other far-right politicians who once vaunted a cozy relationship with Russian leader Vladimir Putin have now found themselves eating their words. Not Orban, He's used the war to inaccurately paint the opposition as warmongers who will send Hungarians to die in Ukraine. This retired healthcare worker says he'll be voting for the Fidesz party because Orban has promised to stay out of the war. Polls show he's far from alone. And tomorrow, the country and the world will find out if most of Hungary agrees. Megan Williams, CBC News, Budapest.
The war in Ukraine is having a deep impact on another set of presidential and parliamentary elections this weekend in Serbia. A rally is held for supporters of President Alexander Vučić. His Progressive Party has held power for a decade on a platform that awkwardly includes maintaining traditional ties to Russia while also wanting to join the European Union. The opposition has formed an alliance that has seen socialist parties join with far-right groups. Borko Stefanovic is the deputy leader of the center-left Party for Freedom and Justice.
We decided it's finally ripe situation to unite the opposition. We were bickering between ourselves. In the same time, the government was getting stronger. I mean, Serbian Progressive Party, and almost through the night, Serbia became a dark, autocratic, isolated country in which there is no perspective for young people.
President Vučić is widely predicted to win another term with his message of